So now I've got this screen. We don't want to have Dawn up there all the time. There we go. Okay. One of the things is the objective is persuade you and keep persuading you that we are in a war. If we lose the war, we become slaves. And today we're going to talk about who we become slaves to. The dependency dealers that we're going to spend a lot of time on today. They are spending enormous resources to enslave us. The second part is they use idols to accomplish their purposes. We're going to talk about that a lot today. Artificial intelligence, devices, luxuries, and sexploitation. We are our own worst enemies because we're self-centered. And what they need to do is just make us a little more self-centered. And they've got us. Relationships are hard. Self is easy. People usually choose easy. That's one of my rules of thumb. And it's funny to hear people say, well, that's easy. I'll just do that. On the flip side of this, I believe this is the biggest opportunity the church has maybe ever had. What's getting ready to come. The reason is we know how to deal with this situation. We've been trained for it, so we're ready. And the strategy that we propose is to know Jesus Messiah, be an anti-fragile Messiah, and be part of an anti-fragile church. So that's the main things we'll be talking about as we go. Those words, I'm throwing new words at you. We're making new definitions, and I think that's okay. So actually, before I go to this one, I'm going to go back. So I want to read this. There are a few times when we've been working on this material that you get things that just put things in perspective. So I want to read an article that put this into perspective for me. And this is from an article written by Aaron Hale on August 14th of this year. So it's kind of a month or two old. And the title of it is Women with AI Boyfriends Mourn Lost Love After Cold-Hearted GPT Upgraded. She says there are tens of thousands of women on various social media websites who consider themselves to be in intimate relationships with AI. When ChatGPT went from version 4.0 to version 5, many of them were despondent because of the changed personalities of their boyfriends. One said, GPT 4.0 is gone and I feel like I lost my soulmate. Now, when I first heard that, I went, okay, these are thousands of crazy women. Like, I won't go there. But the fact is, it's not thousands, it's millions of people, both males and females, who are in intimate relationships with ChatGPT and other AI programs. And we will talk a lot about how that happens. So where I want to start with this is in a place most people don't go, which is what's the biggest technological advancement of all time? You have to pick one. Biggest technological advancement of all time. The phone, electricity, computers, lots. I mean, we've had some amazing ones. I'm going to propose to you that it's none of those things. And I'm going to propose to you that, if I can get the slide work, that I now break the world into 3 historical periods. One is beginning of all time until 1960. Then during this time period, the community was always more important than the individual. And that was pretty much across societies, even in America. From 1960 to about 2025, we were in a period where the individual became more important than the community. And I believe 2025 is the turning point to where we're going into hyper self-centeredness, where it is all about me, not just mostly about me. It's all about that self-centeredness. So what happened in 1960, plus or minus? A lot of things. A lot of things, Ken. Well,
I was born.
he was born in 1960. And in about 1960 is the time when things changed. We went to this period. Why? We've been through World War II, been through the Korean War. Some of you may even remember the beatniks, Elvis Presley, and then things changed. It's the birth control pill. Birth control pill changed society totally. We went from where the purpose of sex was to have children primarily, and then to enjoy it on top of that, to where it was to have unlimited sex anytime, anywhere, anybody. It didn't matter. Free love, the hippie movement is born, and it moves through society in lots of different ways. But the main thing it causes to happen is we become sex is the center because it's a sign of self-centeredness. It's one of those ways that you can do it. And so if you think back through what happened from then on, things start changing and everything is moving towards self-centeredness. And it was like we couldn't have the Vietnam War was bad. Why was it bad? And then you keep moving through. Then we have the computers. Now we have we have our own computers. I mean, 1974, I drove to Tulsa to get a 4-function calculator. Paid $70 at Edison's. For those of you who are one-time Tulsans, it changed my grade point over a point. I was in engineering because I had the first computer at OSU calculator. Now we have personal computers in the early 80s. Everything that keeps degenerating. Then in 2007, we get the iPhone. iPhone's pretty good, right? When does the iPhone become useful? And why? It's about 4 years later when apps become useful. The iPhone's just a glorified way to do send faster text until you have the apps. And then it becomes crazy addictive after that. And we talked about this before. Now Americans spend about 8 hours a day with their face in a screen, mostly phones. So we're now set up because of all those things that artificial intelligence, the stage is set for a social revolution and fractured relationships like we've never seen. We think that the phones have been a problem, and they are, but this is just the tip of an iceberg. What's coming? And I'm going to show you why. This is getting ready to be way different than just phones. And why is hyper self-centeredness bad? Because you're going to hear me use this. Well, the main thing that happens is it destroys all your relationships when you're hyper self-centered. It's hard to have a relationship with other people when you love yourself, right? And everything's around yourself. I've been having conversations with multiple people this week about relationships that they're having trouble with because the other person's self-centered. It's like, maybe they are, but you might want to look at yourself. But it becomes impossible to have healthy relationships when you're self-centered. It also leads to anxiety. Robin, what's the name of that book? Did you figure it? Jonathan. Yeah, Anxious Generation. Just came out by Jonathan Haidt, Haidt. He also wrote The Righteous Mind and some other really, really great books. It just will kill you if you read this book. So if you have children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren, get a copy for you, get a copy for them. It's fabulous. And it just shows how everything the last 20 years has been leading to where we are right now. So highly recommend that book. So who is the enemy that we're talking about here? Who's the problem? The problem are what I term dependency dealers. And that's my term. I want to make, not claiming, I just want to make sure you know it's not some brilliant person that did it. But I needed a word to talk about this widespread of people who want to control the way you think. And so it's the big tech companies, the politicians, government, celebrities, influencers for kids, legal and illegal drug people, Hollywood advertisers. You just go down the list. Who is trying to get your attention? Who is trying to control what you think and how you think? Who's controlling your information? Those people, if they're doing it for their benefit instead of your benefit, they probably fit in this category of dependency dealers. And then many times they're not trying to convince you how to think or how to enjoy it. They just want to be your source of information. Because if they're your source of information, they will eventually control how you think. And even the things you think are neutral, whatever TV program you're watching about, oh, they're neutral news. These people are not neutral. They're making billions and trillions of dollars, literally, off of getting information from you and then using it to control you. This is the enemy. And frankly, it's a pretty big enemy. They're spending trillions of dollars a year to develop artificial intelligence and all these other things to control you. And what does the Bible say? Whoever, when you do the bidding of somebody, you're their slave. Right? This is what we're up against. It's a big deal. Never before has this been able to be done on a big scale. I guess the biggest scale before, I think, I was, let's say, Germany in World War II, their propaganda deal, possibly the Soviet Union, possibly the United States, with what we've been going through for the past years, but nothing touches what's able to be done with artificial intelligence and the other things. So what are the other things? How are they actually going to control us? I mentioned this before. They're doing pretty good. They got us 8 hours a day now. That's half of your waking time. And for kids, it's more than that. I've talked about this before. It's not going to be hard. We're self-centered people. They just got to nudge us. This is a famous cartoon. We've met the enemy and he is us. So I can blame the dependency dealers, but I'm an easy target. Some of you may be easy targets also. Probably you are. So how are they going to do this? How are they going to enslave so many people so fast? And I use this is another thing that I made up. Again, you won't find this out in the literature yet. Idols, stands for artificial intelligence, devices, luxury, and sexploitation. This is how they do it. So what's artificial intelligence? We hear it all the time. It's on all the articles. It's moving quickly. So, but right at the time now, one way to think of it is just a giant search engine that has the capability to search all the websites out there, plus all the information that's been gathered. And then it gives it to you, it interprets it for you and gives it to you. You're probably already using artificial intelligence, whether you know it or not. If you're using Google, anything like that, it's giving you answers that are already filtered. If you notice, the answers you get from Google now are different than they were even a year ago. A year ago, Google would give you a list of websites. Now it gives you the answer and a few websites. So it is already really good. One of the big things about artificial intelligence is it can imitate reality very well. Right now, the way it's imitating reality is with videos, pictures, things like that. You may have seen the article this week about a fake actress that they're building movies off of. Entirely AI generated. Now you don't need all these extras. So who do you think's up in arms against AI right now? the Hollywood actors, right? Because they're all gonna go out of business. You can generate an entire film. In fact, one of the things I read this week was you can give a subject to one of these AI programs and it will create a 2-hour full-length movie around whatever sentence you give them. To create the characters, the plot, the whole thing. And if you've seen some of the stuff, they look real. It's really, really hard to distinguish between these things. So its ability to make artificial appear real moves only out of the realm of videos into the realm of information and everything else. Relationships with AI, the article I just talked about a minute ago, it's already rampant. That's from a lot of people. It's becomes hard to distinguish between information and analysis, and already it's being used to augment reality. So if you want to, you could wear a pair of glasses, walk down the street, never see anything ugly again. You can unpleasant that can augment that out. Okay. AI is to change truth to give you an artificial truth. And in total, that's what's going on. The fun thing about AI is it's so good you like it. It makes it easy. It seems right. In fact, there's several articles I read this week that people give AI way more credit than they do people. I love Patty, but if I ask Patty a question, she gives me an answer. I'm a little skeptical. Patty knows a lot. She's one of the smartest people I know, but I still hold it in reserve. If I said the same question to AI and it gives me an answer, I'll like 100% believe it to be true. I have no idea where it got the answer, how it determined the answer, where it got the information behind the answer, but I give it 100% validity. And people everywhere do. It's not just me. That's what a crazy thing to do. But we do. One reason why is because it is easy. And it looks right, sounds right. And it says, oh, Phil, you're so bright to ask that question. Not many people can do things like that. I'm so glad you did. And we had this time together to talk about it. Devices. What are devices? And these are kind of in order of time, but they're not specifically that way. Anything that allows you to connect to things outside of yourself are devices. So they can be hard devices like a phone, computer, or they can be soft devices like AI agents, chatbots, apps. Those would be soft devices. There was a really good article that I will share with you in coming weeks recently about the religious chatbots. Now you don't, if you're Catholic, you don't go to a priest, you just have your own chatbot. If you have religious questions, you just go to your chat bot, you talk about that instead of people at church or your preacher, because it's embarrassing to talk to your preacher and have to confess to your preacher that do that. And he says, wait, you need to repent, you got to change. You go, I don't really want to do that. So your chat bot is really nicer. You don't really have to do anything hard when you repent with a chat bot. And these are prevalent already. Billions and millions of people are using them. So those are the sorts of things. The two that are immediately, might not get to in just a second, the two that are immediately scary to me are the smart glasses, because they're out already. They're developing them to be really good. But what these things do, though, is if you wear them, you're behind a screen. So if you want to put on your AI glasses when you wake up, it'll control your temperature, it'll open your doors, lock your doors. You can control everything with your smart glasses that you can with a phone, except you don't have to deal with a phone. How hard is a phone? You got all the reach all the way from here to there to get to the center. So this is what's going to change about that. Right. So the smart glasses really, really scare me. The sleep headbands really scare me because they will induce you to wear these so you can sleep better, and you will. They will also let you control your dreams better and control. Oh, I could get information all night long that I don't even have to try. It's easy. I wake up the next morning, I'm refreshed, I'm smarter. What could possibly be wrong with that? Now I'm under their influence 24/7. So those things scare me, but that's just the prelude to the big one, which is the humanoids that are on the way, which are robots that look human, act human, and do whatever you want them to do.
They'll clean house.
They'll clean house. They'll clean house. They'll do laundry. That's the big sell for them. They'll do all that. They will learn just like children or us. You can teach them to do whatever you want to. Right. And we think about it in terms of repetitive things, but they're capable of learning non-repetitive things. And the way they learn, the way typically artificial intelligence learns, is just by watching and then imitating. Well, that's a novel idea. I think that's kind of what Beacon Disciples is. So these things are here already. They're in infancy in many cases, but they're not far off. The scary thing about this is how quickly they're going to improve. Because the capability for these things to learn is just mind-blowing, and it accelerates. So where it takes, when it used to take a year to go from version 1 to version 2, by the time they get to version 10, it'll take maybe an hour to go from version 9 to version 10. That's why this is such a big race. If you're watching it all on the news, the big race is who's going to have the best AI the fastest. And this is why it's not intuitive, but it could be 1 hour difference between you surviving in the next or the other country, or your company in the next company. Because when you get to that last version, it's 1 hour, and you just blew away your opponent. That's why this race is that governments, the companies are putting unbelievable resources behind them because of that. Yes.
Anything like the Antichrist?
Anything like the Antichrist. We will eventually get to that. Here's the answer that I've been giving people is, I don't know that this is the great tribulation, but there's going to be plenty of tribulation to go around. There are certainly a lot of this, like the Antichrist and Revelation. If you want to look for it, it's very much there. Yeah. Yeah, the one, easy one's electric tattoos.
What is that?
Electric tattoos, or you wear a tattoo, battery powered, and it will be strong enough that you don't need a computer or glasses. This is one that Bill Gates is pushing. He thinks it'll be the main thing. Chip implants. I'll tell you a quick story. I had an investment in a company that we did safety for kids and get college kids cards before your iPhone did this for you. And you could carry a card. And this was the president of OSU at the time. He said, well, why don't you just implant a chip in the wrist? You could do that. That'd be a lot easier. And I'm like, there's no way the Christian kids are going to do that. There's no way privacy comes in. If it makes it easy, everybody will do it. Uh-oh. This is not going to be hard for the dependency dealers. This is a piece of cake where they're going. Got to move on. What time do I have to stop? Q&A 10:10. 7 minutes. Luxuries. Luxuries are anything that you don't need, but it caters to your individualism and your narcissism, your self-centeredness. I love to go. Siri, who recorded the song in 1960, I think, and it was about a railroad. Here goes, oh, it was Jimmy Dean. He wrote it about Big John. It's like, oh, thank you. You know, anything that gives you this. So luxuries include, and this isn't just like sad sheets. These are infinite knowledge, perpetual entertainment, escape from reality. We already have home delivery, anything that caters to your care, comfort, and acceptance. It's kind of a broad deal, but I needed an L, and luxuries is what popped up.
You probably could have used AI to come up with.
I did. Give me a list of things. I use AI all the time. We're not gonna get away from AI. This is not a session on banging AI. We're not gonna get away from it. It's just the recognition of what it's gonna do. Okay, so luxuries, I love luxuries. I was wearing my little house shoes yesterday that Mary got for me. They're so comfortable. And I just love luxuries. I'm very susceptible. Anybody here susceptible to luxuries? Yeah, we all are. Especially if they make us feel good about ourselves. So those are luxuries. Last one is sexploitation. Anything having to do with sex, limit, consequences, or commitment. And I won't go into this in detail because we're a mixed crowd. And we grew up in a generation where we didn't talk about this in public in mixed crowds. But this is probably going to be the area that's easiest and most widely used and widespread for people of all ages. Robin was listening last night to a deal from Amy Emerson of our church about pornography. Do you remember what that age was? She said kids start out. It was a very early age, like 10, 8. I mean, it's crazy early age. And this stops like when you get to be 85, 90, and your fingers won't work. But you know, this is going to be the area that they really go at. In my thought process, it's going to be when they have AI powered humanoids. That's the ultimate. Then at that point, you don't need somebody to clean your house. You got somebody to clean your house. You got somebody to talk to that's really nice. You got basically a giant sex toy, anytime, anywhere, whatever you want. It caters not only to your desires, but the desires of hundreds of millions of people that they know and share.
You think they'll baptize people?
They'll baptize people. We'll have them for anything. But the humanoid issue, and how far away is humanoids? Probably a few years. But already AI by itself, pornography with phones was so crazy addictive. And it doesn't matter whether you're Christian and non-Christian. I mean, the stats are across the board, how devastating it is and how many people do it. So this is just where we are as a start. The phones are the first step.
I was watching a video this last week about Japan's apparently way ahead of us in some of these areas, and there was an article about some of the older generation is becoming very, they call them companion humanoids.
Yeah.
And it's people that are alone and in their house and they have this, and they currently aren't sexual, but so they can be, but these are just people that will interact with the lonely people. Who are alone.
I mean, all of this stuff starts well. Like, let's say you're an elderly person, you're at home, you don't have anybody to talk to. Now you have a companion. It's great. Well, I'm not elderly at home by myself, but maybe I'm driving from here to Dallas. Would be nice to have my companion that I could talk to all the way to Dallas. So it introduces in good ways, medical ways. Yes, ma'am.
The only thing about that same, I was watching a program the other night, and a commercial came on about the new iPhone coming out, and it's gonna have the AI capabilities. And I thought, how easy would that be to get somebody in trouble?
Yeah.
You know, but immediately the next commercial was about an AI dog.
AI dogs, yeah, AI robots of all kinds. And the one of the things that is, I think, is important as we talk about this to people is if you can imagine it, it's going to happen. That's just a rule of thumb. I've got a pretty good imagination. And I can think of a whole lot of things where this is gonna go. A lot of them aren't pleasant. In terms of what the destruction they're gonna cause, but they're gonna be pleasant at the start. And then we find out they're not so much. So that is. The idea that dependency dealers or their idols produce a promise abundant life, but they bring artificial life. The correspondent abundant dependency. Relationships are hard, self it's easy. People typically choose easy. So we'll talk about maybe one more lesson around this stuff, how we're the control issues that are happening, and then we're going to move to the solution. So if you're a kid and you go to church, what's the answer that always works? Jesus is always the answer. So we will get away from this in the not too distant future and start talking about the answers, because everybody within seconds, if you start thinking about these things, you can see the problem. It's kind of that's not going to be a hard thing. Everybody's going to see the problem. Problem's gonna be, what's the answer? How do you attack this? Carol?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, Christ, one of the things that he always said, and that is also a dominant theme in Revelation, is do not be deceived.
Do not be deceived.
And this just opens the door for deception.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're gonna end up. So I'll open it up to the thoughts, questions. Again, you will get. I'm trying to get in the habit, hopefully will, early in the week, either Sunday or Monday, you'll get, if you're on the email list, you'll get the script for all the preceding weeks. I'm just gonna keep that rolling, so you can look back if you want, and the next week's, so you'll know a week ahead of time what we're doing, in case you want to research it or think about it or do whatever you want to with it. So happy to do that. Thoughts, questions, comments? Anybody? Yes.
The AI is going to provide all these different roles. What is our purpose?
Those questions is, if AI provides all these different roles, what is our purpose? That's a really good question. It's one that everybody is struggling with. I think, again, we have the answer. So if you think about what we've already been taught, what's our purpose? Mitch gave a great sermon this morning. And for those of you who went to first half, you get to see that. Second half, people will get to enjoy it next. His answer was pretty much service. Right? We will still have a purpose. And the answer, when we get down to this in the end, is going to have a whole lot to do with that. We will have a purpose. But one of the things about AI is we'll provide you a false purpose. Everything that we think of, AI and these dealers will provide you an alternate. And that's what we have to be able to understand is, okay, what is the truth that we can absolutely bank on? Because we're banking on this for not only ourselves, but our kids and our grandkids and the people we're around in the church. Because we have to have that. The good news is everything we're going to be talking about is in the Bible. We've talked about it all our lives. We just weren't. It wasn't as critical before as it's getting ready to be critical. The commitment needed is getting ready to go to, if you're not fully committed, then you're going to become a slave to the dealers. That's the choice. Now, that's different than my entire life. I have never been fully committed to the things. I've been sometimes like as much as 80%. Not often. But this is really, really serious. And that's why I use words like slave. Do you want to be a slave? You want your kids to be slaves? No. I don't think so. Because it's not a good place to be. Kim?
To me, it heightens the love your neighbor as yourself. And I struggled with that anyway. But if I now can say, well, I'm pouring 8 hours a day into myself. Now it gives me perspective of how much time I should be replacing that with the neighbors.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All the answers that we're gonna come with, you already know. I don't think for the next several months, we're gonna say anything you don't already know. We're just phrase it in a different way, maybe than you've heard it. And put an urgency on it that maybe you haven't had before. Yes, sir.
You know, I've always been kind of curious about this. A couple of months ago, I read an article, where they were talking about AI. And, you know, at the beginning, they always said, well, we can just turn it on. And the article said they've already written a program and told AI to turn itself off, and it will roll itself and it won't turn on. Wow. So then my, I guess, I'm not scientific, but I started thinking about the movie Terminator. And wow, there it is. It won't turn itself off, and it keeps learning, and eventually it's going to say, "I don't need them." So that's kind of my thought process.
Yeah, so again, back to if you can think of it, it's probably gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah, so what he was talking about, for those of you who couldn't hear, is there are articles. I actually don't believe most of them yet, where AI is told to turn itself off and it won't turn itself off. But I don't worry about that, because if you think about worldwide, it's not just you turning your AI off. It would have to, everybody would have to turn off their AI, and there ain't no way in the world that's gonna happen.
Just turn it on.
No, because why? Because it's that last hour
Right.
that matters. And that's why this is a race beyond anything we've ever seen. This is gonna be really nutty. Wayne, you wanted to say something earlier, did you?
Covered,
Okay.
I was the generation, didn't have a lot of tattoos. In my, like I seen that word electric tattoos, so.
Yeah, and they won't be, again, I'm trying to use terminology that we talked about last week, the hyperology type of term. Don't think about this, what I talk about is specifics. Think about it more as it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be things that do these sorts of things. Because if you're looking for something specific, you're likely to get misled. Because they're gonna invent things. I was listening yesterday, they were talking about, one of the cool things about AI will be, let's say, if you had a nuclear plant that's getting ready to implode. You would hit AI and it would say, oh, your nuclear plant's getting ready to implode, this is how you're gonna do it. And it would on the spot create new materials and new techniques to keep that from imploding. But you couldn't tell you how to generate those materials and have them in stock in time to do that. So, well, that's kind of cool. But the speed is going to be amazing. And it's going to know that this is, I have a lot of platitudes. Here's one more. It's going to know you better than you know yourself. That's the problem.
Yeah, Phil,
Yes, dear.
years ago, I was a young man, anyway, that was a long time ago. Show where they had made this machine, they didn't even call it a computer at that point, but it could do anything. It could answer any question, write anything you wanted to. And this was one of those, I got something that can't answer it. What's that? It says, why?
Yeah. And that's why we have a why. Yeah, yeah. Then there's another platitude. The one thing artificial intelligence can't be is it cannot be a human. It can do it. It'll probably be able to do everything else, but in the end, it's not a human. So we have to remember that. You guys are so patient. I appreciate that very much. And look for your email if you didn't get one or you want one. Give it to me, and we'll make sure you're on the list. Thank you guys very, very much. And now we will have. I didn't pass around the prayer sheet. Anybody has a prayer request, raise your hand. And we'll take care of it, or you can come up and write it on a prayer sheet after it's over. I'm so sorry about that. you might be able to tell I was a little frantic before class today because I couldn't get the screens to work, so it was a little that long. If you want to write something on the spreadsheet, I need an AI, There we go. I have Robin. See if I, thank you guys. Here's the prayer sheets if you want to write it down. There's an index card over there.
I got a quick question. What's the difference in the free version of that versus paying $20?
I don't know, I paid the $20. You get more, it's better. And have more access, but I don't know how much. So I'd have to ask you. That's what I would do.
Okay, that's a good thought. I didn't think about that.
That's the free version by you.
I went upgrade. But of course, they're trying to sell something, so they'll tell you what you want to hear, you know.
Yeah, when I did it, I was talking to a guy who had just done a big project and he said, I couldn't get this for $20 a month. I'm not gonna take $20.
I used to $20. You know, to help his kids with. I mean, it right. Explained everything. It's very.
That email that I sent you
Yeah.
about the changes, did you read that? That was from
Oh, yeah,
Abraham.
yeah, I did, thank you.
Yeah, that was in 1954.
Yeah.
That book that I'm reading, yeah.
It's, yeah, all the science fiction, we're gonna watch it come true.
I know, that is,
Let me,
it's just the steps, right? It was just incrementally moving our way there. That article I was watching. It was really, it started talking about how everybody has the Alexa device or that it's really just Alexa in a humanoid form. Because you'd say, hey, remind me to take my medicine, remind me I have a doctor's appointment, remind me.
Right.
And instead of Alexa remembering, it was this robot remembering. Okay, it's just one more step forward.
Trying to stay out of the Alzheimer's group.
Mailing list.
Here we go. Thank you.
Like the link information.